Axios launched in 2016. We're a media company, and we focus on making you smarter, faster. We write really short. And what's interesting is we've now spread locally. We have an awesome team, I think some of them are here tonight, that covers Axios Miami. So make sure you go to Axios.com and subscribe to Axios Miami. You should also go to Axios.com and subscribe to my newsletter, Axios Media Trends. It comes out every Tuesday. And then the last plug, we do a ton of events here in Miami, but also around the globe. We'll be at Cannes Lion this summer, so if you are going to be there, let us know. Now, without further ado, this is an incredible interview to close out our night. There's probably no one who is more synonymous with F1 than our next guest. Otmar Szafnauer is one of the best and most experienced team principals in the sport. He's led organizations like Aston Martin and Alpine. This is somebody who has been at the heart, not just of racing, but also of technology and innovation. We are thrilled that we have him. Please give a warm welcome to Otmar.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
We got you.
Can you see me? Because I can't see you because of those lights. And I noticed the airplanes were landing like frequently, so let's do it in between the landings so you can actually hear me.
Sounds good. The lights are a little blinding, but that's just because everyone wants to see you.
That's all right.
Okay. Before we get to some of the fun stuff, Otmar, I gotta ask you about some of these rumors about a 12th team. Talk to me about that.
So if a 12th team happens, and we have had 12 teams in the past, while I've been in Formula One for, it's my 28th year. Can you hear me? Is that better?
There we go.
28 years, and in my 28 years, there was a time where we had 12 teams in Formula One. And prior to me joining, I signed my contract in 97 and joined in 98. There are even more where they used to have pre-qualifying. So I think there's room for a 12th team. And if a 12th team does happen, I want to be prepared in order to be the successful bidder for the 12th team. So that's what I've been working on.
Incredible. And when you say successful bidder, what would that mean? Like an equity stakeholder?
Yeah, so the 11th team, which just happened, Cadillac was given the 11th spot. I believe there are 5 bidders or 5 applicants for that spot, and one was chosen by the FIA, which was Cadillac, and eventually by Formula One or Liberty. So I would imagine when they open up the bidding process for that 12th team, there will be more than one applicant. So I want to be in a position to make sure that my application will be the best amongst those that will apply.
One of the trends that we've seen is that it used to be that owners and managers were one and the same. Now there's been this split. You have the management team, sometimes they're reporting up to owners. How has that changed or impacted the sport?
Yeah, it has changed. So, in the day of Frank Williams, where he was team principal and owner, Eddie Jordan, the late Eddie Jordan, good friend, team principal and owner, Ron Dennis, team principal and owner, Ken Tyrrell, team principal and owner, even Toto Wolff today, he's team principal and owner. That's changing. It seems like the ownership is now separated from team principals, and it seems like in today's era, the team principals seem to be more engineering focused and engineering led, where the ownership or maybe the CEOs do the business end of it. And I was fortunate enough to be a CEO and team principal where I had to do everything for an owner like Vijay Mallya or Lawrence Stroll at Aston Martin.
What's the benefit of having someone who knows and does both?
If you can do both, and Toto can, I think you gain efficiencies. You don't have to rely on somebody else. You lead the team yourself in both the commercial aspect as well as the technology aspect, and both are important these days. So, yeah, you definitely gain efficiencies. And also, if you're owner manager, you have a bit of skin in the game. There's Although there's huge passion in Formula One, there's just a little bit more.
When it comes to the 11th team that you mentioned, this new Cadillac team, and you mentioned, in the past there's been even more. There's been up to 12 teams, even more, prelims. Is that something that you think would dilute the experience on the track, or do you think that there's more than enough space for a lot of teams?
Yeah, so there's definitely enough space for 12 teams. I don't know why maybe because I'm biased, but I don't know why in the back of my head I think 24 cars on track is better than 22, and 12 teams is better than 11. But there's definitely room, physical space, and if those 12 teams can all be competitive and share the glory of winning, it's even better if you have 24 drivers. And we have 20 of the best drivers in the world that will now go to 22 in 1 year's time. I think there's so many great drivers and only so few spots in Formula One. To add another 2 is worthwhile for the driving community and those coming up. I mean, the amount of great drivers Red Bull have gotten rid of is incredible, and they own 2 teams. Maybe they can own a third and keep some of them.
And also for the fans. I feel like people cannot get enough of these drivers as stars. They're blowing up on social media. Honestly, how much of that do you attribute to Drive to Survive?
Definitely in the countries where Netflix exists, it had a huge impact. And America's one of them. And for me, it was a bit of a perfect storm from the fans' perspective. We had Drive to Survive that came out during COVID. And for 6 months in COVID, Formula One was the only live sport on TV. So on one hand, you got to watch Drive to Survive, and then you could either watch a 2-year-old basketball game that you already knew the outcome of, or a Formula One race that was live. And I think that combination, Drive to Survive being entertaining as well as a behind-the-scenes look, and then being able to watch Formula One, and you're almost forced to watch it because it's the only live sport on TV. That combination really worked. And it doesn't matter how you get the fans. To keep them, you have to have a good product. And I've been a fan forever. I've been in the sport for 28 years. I know how good the product is. I just think pre-Drive to Survive, it was a well-kept secret. And now the secret's out, and people are loving the sport, and it's growing.
One of the things that's so fascinating about the success of F1 in the US is we as Americans have not typically tapped into international sports. MLS, a little bit with soccer, but not much. How come driving was able to penetrate in ways that even soccer hasn't been able to?
So I think one reason is, for me anyway, my first Formula One race was in 1984, the Detroit Grand Prix. And I was always a fan of motorsport, but I didn't ever see a Formula One race live until I went. And once you see it live, then you can appreciate the skill level of the drivers. And the skill level of the drivers is really, really high. And if everybody drives, we all do what they do. But when you go watch and think, I can't do that, you're fascinated and you enjoy it. You know, to overtake somebody going into turn 1 at Suzuka at 170 miles an hour, and you try 4, 5, 6 times and finally get the pass done, and you're 6 inches from the wheel of your competitor, and you're both driving 170 miles an hour trying to overtake each other. That's skill. And I think the American fan appreciates that skill level. And I think it's also good to turn left and right.
When it comes to, of course, I think that's good as well. When it comes to you are an engineer, you've done management, you've done everything that there is to possibly do in the F1 sphere. What do you consider yourself?
You know, it's good that I have an engineering background, and I worked as an engineer before I started in Formula One at Ford Motor Company. And although when I worked in Formula One, I wasn't really an engineer, but having that background meant that the engineers couldn't really pull the wool over my eyes. You know, sometimes they tell you stories of what they see the future needs to be, and occasionally you need to correct them. So that was good. And having a business degree as well helped commercially. But total, I probably see myself as a combination of those things. And, maybe that's a technocrat, a bit of technology, a bit of business, and a bit of understanding humans and having a bit of empathy. And that goes a long way, too, when you're building teams.
Speaking of tech, would love your thoughts on the role that AI has played in changing the game.
So for me, artificial intelligence is better than artificial stupidity. And it's really good that we're going down the AI route, especially generative AI. And I think we've just scratched the surface. I don't know what tomorrow will bring, but I know we're going to use it more and more and more, and we'll find better applications. One application in Formula One, and we've been doing this for a long time, and it wasn't known as AI then, but we model a lot of things in Formula One in order to find technological innovations, and it's a lot easier to find them in a model than in the real world, and it's a lot cheaper and quicker. And I remember the first time I looked at a CFD model, which is computational fluid dynamics on a supercomputer, and it was a computer optimizing a wing. And you could watch the optimization visually and see the wing changing to downforce levels that you input as well as drag levels that you wanted. And I thought, I can't believe this. But it still took humans in order to work out the interactions. You couldn't put an entire car into CFD, but you could load cases of different geometries. And we were doing this 10, 15 years ago. And that's that's AI, really. We didn't call it that back then, but Formula One have been using it for a long time. You need good data to have good AI. And that goes for all of us. And I always say, to make a good decision, you need good information. You can be the best decision maker in the world, and if you have poor information, you're going to make a poor decision. And the same holds true for AI. So having a great database to work from and let that computer do your work will be critical in the future.
So speaking of good information, at Axios, we like to end on one fun thing, and I'm hoping maybe you can inform the crowd. What is one secret fun thing to do at an F1 race that most people don't know?
So for me, a lot of people don't do this. But is everyone going to the Formula One race? Make sure you don't just sit in your seat to watch the cars. Go to 3, 4, 5, 6 different viewpoints to watch the car and see it work, because you see a different thing from a different vantage point. And I've met some people, but not many do this, where they will buy 2, 3 different seats. So on Friday, they see something different than on a Saturday, and they see something different on a Sunday. Now that I'm not team principaling anymore, I sometimes do talks like this for Paddock Club, Champions Club. And I can't believe that most of the time, Champions Club, which is not as expensive, I don't know if anyone's here from Formula One experiences, they have a better vantage point of the cars actually working than Paddock Club, because Paddock Club's right above the paddock, and all you see is the front straight, or you see a pit stop, and that's fleeting. 2 seconds if you're good, 3 seconds if it's slow. So do yourself a favor, walk around the track and see the cars from different angles and different vantage points.
Please introduce us to your friends that can afford multiple tickets, because we would love to be out there with them.
Well, here's the other thing. Trade.
That's a good point.
Trade tickets with other friends. So they get to see what you saw on Friday, you get to see what they saw on Saturday, or whatever it is, that permutation that I can't think of right now, but you know what I mean.
That is such a smart point. All right, let's review some of the stuff we learned. 12th team, if there was that right opportunity and bids came in, we might one day see you as an equity owner. Let's see, fingers crossed.
It's the next step.
It's the next step in a very long career with Formula One. You've been doing this for 28 years. That's incredible. When you talk about what makes for a really great structure, this combination of the managers and the owners, you said it really forces people to have skin in the game, and that makes a huge difference. Drive to Survive had a huge impact. I think we can all agree on that. You talked about COVID, and that F1 was one of the few sports that you couldn't just see the Drive to Survive dramatic on-demand thing, but you could also see a live sport, not like a basketball game from 2 years ago. When it comes to AI, you're only as good as your data. You need good information to make good decisions. And then lastly, your big advice, well, actually not lastly, you consider yourself a technocrat. Love that term. But your last big advice for anyone here who's going to the race is to get up out of your seat and try to see it from as many vantage points. And good call on the trades. Can you tell he's an entrepreneur? Otmar, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Listen, thank you.
All right, everyone.
And thank you for listening. And I always end with this. Time is a commodity you can't buy. And it's the most important commodity. And the fact that you took the time to listen to me tonight, I want to thank you for. Thanks very much for that.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. And also, we just want to thank... Yeah.
I'm so impressed from my days at university. As an engineer, I had to take 2 English classes. One to learn how to write memos, and the other one was to learn how to do speeches. And you were perfect.
Oh, you're very kind.
Because the only thing I remember is tell them what you're going to tell them, and tell them what you told them. And you did that very well.
You helped me get there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks so much for joining. We want to thank our partners, the Race Media. Thank you to IBM for making this possible.